does not define me. Its purpose was to refine me. God, He took my broken pieces to transform and renew me. Now I'm beautifully reconstructed. Beautifully reconstructed. I'm beautifully reconstructed. Beautifully reconstructed. I am. Let's talk. Let's heal. Let's live.
Great morning. I am Michelle Patrice Wade of Beautifully Reconstructed. We are the ministry devoted to helping others discover that God can use the broken pieces of their past to beautifully reconstruct them and launch them into their divine destinies. On today with me, I have a beautiful guest with a beautiful spirit and a beautiful smile, Miss Crystal Morris. I want you to help me welcome her, and thank you so much, Crystal, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
Absolutely an honor for me. Thank you so much. Please share with our audience a little bit about who you are.
So, of course, my name is Crystal Morris. Born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama. I probably moved to Florida maybe about 6 years and ended up coming back home in 2014. But currently, I am a worship leader. Well, I'll take that back. Worship servant. I don't like to use the word worship leader, worship servant. So, in whatever capacity guys decide to use me in, I want to be flexible. So worship servant. I'm a mom to one beautiful 13-year-old daughter. Um, have been married before, now divorced. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love when you said worship servant.
Yeah.
What does serving look like to you?
Servant for me, I guess it's just being submitted to God in a way that He can use you in the best way possible or in the way that He desires to use you. I think sometimes when we use worship leader, we're leading. We want to lead. We
Mm.
don't allow Him to lead us. So I prefer to use worship servant because I want to be used by Him in the way that He desires to, not the way that I want to, because we want to take the reins sometimes. We want to make it do what it do. But no, I want God to get the glory. So that's why I refer to it as worship servant. So,
That was such an honest statement.
yeah.
Sometimes we want to take the
Yeah.
we do,
That's true.
not just in the church environment, but every aspect of our lives.
Absolutely.
Where do you serve?
I serve at the Purpose Church.
Mhm.
My pastor is the one and only Andrea Lynn Gates. She's a jewel, but yeah, that's where I serve at. Yeah,
I can tell.
yeah, yeah,
You beamed when you said that.
yeah. She's awesome. She's absolutely amazing. Has been through so much, and she is the example of what it is to bounce back. When life, throws all kinds of hits at you, she has been a solid example. Not just for women, but I would just say people in general. She has been a solid example of what it looks like when you are up against the wall and you experience so much pain, but for God to bring you out on top. So yeah, she's a jewel. Yeah,
Awesome. Seems like it.
yeah, she
Yeah, seems like a
definitely is.
beautiful individual
Yeah,
in the kingdom.
yeah.
Yes. Now you said that you said that you were married previously
Mm-hmm.
and you have a 13-year-old. So kind of tell me what divorce looks like and what
Oh
single
man.
motherhood looks like.
So of course I never expected to be divorced. Like
Mhm.
that was not my intention. Like as kids, we dream about being married. I know for me, I did. Like I thought about, okay,
Mhm.
one day I'll get married. So as a kid, you never think that you'll get married and then you'll also get divorced. So that was never my desire. I never wanted to have kids and then
Mhm.
have a child in a two home,
Yes.
with two parents, we hearing you there. So I never wanted that for her or any child, to say the least, because I experienced that as a kid. So I didn't want that to be my
Mhm.
baby story. Like you didn't have a two-parent home growing up, but regardless, was married for 15 years, ended up getting divorced. And a lot of times, when people say, well, why or whose fault it was, I won't say it's mine or his. I'll say
Yes.
it's our fault. Like we
Yes.
didn't properly cultivate the marriage the way that we
Mhm.
needed to. We were young. We didn't have the proper example around us. We didn't have the wisdom. to properly navigate through the hard moments. And so I won't say it was his fault or my fault. We both were at fault for the marriage dissolving. Um, Being single, I can't tell you that is necessarily easy, because when you've been married for so long and then now you're on the other side of that, it can be very difficult, just because you desire the companionship and you no longer have that. But just knowing that God has you
Yeah.
regardless, that helps me to keep going. So I can't, like I said, it's not easy, but I'm okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm okay.
It's not easy, but I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
okay. Yeah,
Now, you said that you grew up in a household where your parents weren't under the same
correct.
roof.
Right.
Now, do you feel as if that navigated some of the choices that you made in
Absolutely.
reference? Tell us about some of those choices.
Absolutely. I think because, well, number one, my father was never in the picture.
Mm,
And so he started trying to come around like after my sister died. But he was never like a solid parent. Like all we had was my mom. So some of the decisions that I made was because I didn't have a father who told me who I was. You know what I'm saying? And
mm,
so that matters when you don't have someone speaking into your life.
yes.
So you make some of the bad decisions, things that um, don't benefit you, that are harmful to you. And so I feel like because I didn't have a father, I had a great mom, but I feel like you need both parents. Um, to be able to pour into you the way that you need to. There are some things I believe that a father can only give, and I believe
Absolutely.
that there are some things that only a mother can give. And I
Yes.
feel like when you don't have both, you are lacking. And so,
Mhm,
like, I didn't have my dad to tell me, "Hey, you're beautiful." You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? You don't have to do this or you don't have to do that. And so I think some of the decisions that I made growing up was just because of that void. And then of course I experienced molestation from the time I was 10 up until the time I was 14. So that was another issue,
mhm,
because I didn't have a protector. So I was
mhm.
just kind of open to that. So yeah.
I asked the question because, my parents were divorced when I was 2.
Mm.
I always said that they could have saved that, for college. They were married when I was 6 months, and they were divorced by the time I was 2.
Oh
Yeah,
wow. Oh
we could
yeah.
have put that in the fund together,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but when I look back, even the marriage,
Hmm.
of course, decisions before, however,
Right.
even when it, came to the marriage, I did not want to be divorced because I
Yeah.
wanted to break the cycle
Yeah.
of divorce.
Yeah.
And of course, I now realize that to break the cycle, I should have listened to God in the first place and
Hmm.
allowed Him to navigate my choices. Now, the circumstances are different for everyone, but that's my circumstance,
Yeah.
and I know that,
Yeah.
because there were things that God was showing me, the red flags so we call them, but we know it's Holy Spirit,
Yeah.
knock it. Hey,
You see
listen,
this, right?
yeah, you see this, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes
You don't wanna see it.
we do not want to see it,
Yeah,
and unfortunately, it could take us on a journey that we've created for ourselves.
absolutely.
Now, God in His grace,
Yeah,
He will help navigate us even out of our
and
choices,
he'll
because
use it.
and He will use it,
Yeah,
and He will use
yeah,
it, which is, pretty much the foundation of the ministry that He gave me.
yeah,
That's when my healing started, when that ended.
yeah,
So I know that He can use it.
yeah,
And so the when you talk about the fact that, you it's not easy, but you are going forward,
yeah.
and you talk about no, let me go back, because you said that you experienced molestation for a
Hmm.
few years. Now, was this from someone you?
This was from someone that my mom had opened herself up to date. And
Mhm,
so he was like a father figure. Like,
mm,
he was around for a long time. And so he was more like a father figure because, again, I didn't have a father around. So
mhm,
he became that for me and my sister. Um, and so I think I remember one day it was like raining really bad. And by this time, him and her weren't together anymore. But he would still like come around,
mhm,
he would keep us, like my mom had to work. We would go spend time with him. So I never thought anything of it. And I think I remember when I was about 10 years old, it was raining and I was walking home from Barrett Elementary. That's where our bus used to drop us off at.
yes,
So I would walk all the way home up to a Porto Madrid at home. And so this particular day was raining really bad. So I stopped by his apartment, which is en route to my home, to see if he would take me home. And so he was like, "Hey, you're wet. get out of these clothes. Let me, in my mind, I'm 10. So of
Mhm.
course I'm not thinking that this man is about to do something to me.
Yes.
Um, but he did. And
Mhm.
so it went on from that up until the time I was 14 years old. And so I think when it started, like I just kind of became a recluse, not so much that I didn't go out, but I became introverted.
Mhm.
Um, and that's probably where my introvertedness comes from because I just kind of stayed to myself after that. And so it was very difficult, being a 10-year-old girl, now a 40 plus something year old man having sexual relationship with a girl, a baby pretty much.
Yes.
And so that like sent me down a spiral, downward spiral. Just not choosing the best and not seeing what real love is. Like sometimes as
Mhm.
kids, when you're open up to that, the purity is no longer there.
Yes.
And so you're out here just trying to figure it out, like, what is love? You know what I'm saying? And so they tell you that this is love, and so
Yes.
you equate that to love with everybody else.
Yes.
So yeah,
And then you start looking for love through that
yeah,
lens, and then you continue to make these choices
right,
until you say, "Okay, God,
right,
change my lens, change my
right,
perspective," and
absolutely,
you realize that
yeah.
the love that you were looking for was
That's
always
not
in
it.
him at the
Yeah,
same time, all
yeah.
the
It's
time. You were
always been
looking
him.
for it, and it's always been him.
Mhm,
And, because even when, unfortunately, like so many of us,
mhm.
I'm so glad that in this, this day and time, people are more vocal
Yeah.
about their experience.
Mhm.
I am 51. It was only 8 years ago that I shared with my family that I was
Oh
molested
wow.
because in my, growing
They
up,
would sweep it under the rug, baby.
you sweep it under the
Yeah.
rug. And I like to say that my rug was so full that you had to walk around. You couldn't even
Wow.
walk on it,
Wow.
because I learned to be, just like you said,
Yeah.
you being an introvert and
Mhm.
just learning to be quiet.
Mhm.
And because unfortunately my experience started around the age of 3, I grew up
Mhm.
learning that behavior. So it wasn't even as if he had to say be quiet. I was taught.
Yeah.
It was our little secret. It was like almost like we
Mhm.
were in a relationship together.
Yeah.
And so, as sick as that may sound,
Yeah.
but that's what the reality was. We
Yeah.
were in a relationship,
Yeah.
a sick relationship, but
Right.
it was.
Right.
And so when we do that, we have to allow God to, first of all, when we know that what true love is through Him,
Mhm.
then He begins to heal us and deliver us from all
Mhm.
of that past,
Right.
the things that, came to annihilate our future,
Yeah.
but it didn't win.
Right.
It didn't
Right.
win.
It's still trying.
Still,
That's the thing.
yeah,
It still tries to derail your destiny. It still tries, but it won't work.
it won't
Yeah.
work. When you get that understanding of
Yeah.
who God is
Yeah.
for real,
Yeah.
not the pretend, because that, and I like to say that because there was a time that I was more religious versus relationship. And so it was during that time that, I kept quiet, and
Mhm.
during that time that I kept allowing the enemy in my ear
Mhm.
because I really didn't know. I knew of God, but didn't know Him the way that I needed to.
Right.
But when you get to know God for
Yeah.
real,
Yeah.
then that's when that true healing could take
Yeah.
place and you start walking in your
Right.
identity
Right.
and your healing. And
Right.
so those things that keep coming back to try,
Right.
it's only trying. The weapon may form, but
But
it
it
shall
won't
not
work. Come
prosper.
on.
It will not
Come
prosper.
on. Come
Yes.
on.
So when you think about your healing process, tell me when you got to the point where no longer will I allow my past to control my future.
Mm, I think it's a process, honestly. I think
Hmm.
it's a daily walk. You have to be intentional about it.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes life will do what life does, and then you'll get in places of feeling low and
Mhm.
depressed and things like that. But I think a healing is a process, is a continual journey that
Absolutely.
we're taking. I don't think we wake up tomorrow or the next day and say, "Hey, I'm good." Like I'm good. I think it's just
Absolutely.
a process that you have to just continually work at. Yeah, I think it's just a process that you have to be intentional about, and do the work. You know what I'm saying? You don't wake up and just say, "Oh, I'm good." No, there's work attached to healing. So you have to continually do the work. What do I mean? Seek his face, pray,
Absolutely.
read his word, study, um, get around people who are good for you. Watch your environment. Um, and then don't be around people that remind you of that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I just think it's a process. It's a continual journey that you're taking. Healing is gonna always be a process. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
When was the point that, because even although it is a process,
Hmm.
it's up to us to start that
Right.
process.
Absolutely.
What was the defining moment for you that said, "Okay, I need to start the process, and not only do I need to,
Mm.
I will."
I think the process started for me when I finally was able to tell my mom.
Mm,
Um, and like it was at a low point in my life because I was just out here. By the time I told her, I was like 17. And I was doing whatever I wanted to do pretty much, and like I was just pulling back up to the house, and she called me something. I was like, okay, lady, you got to be crazy. But
mhm,
I ended up going in the house, and she just asked me like, what is wrong with you?
mhm,
And I couldn't hold it. Like it was just like I
mhm.
exploded, and I was like, hey, he's doing stuff. He has been doing
Yes.
stuff to me. And she was like, what? Like she just couldn't believe it. And so she ended up like trying to find him, to get back at him. But I'm grateful that he wasn't there when she went because I feel like she would have done harm.
Yes.
But I think it was at that point where I could just tell my mom that, hey, this has been happening to me all of this time. And you thought that I was just being a bad kid, but I was really hurt. You
Mhm,
understand?
mhm.
So it was that for me. Yeah.
And I said it on one of the earlier episodes. They said that we suffer in silence, but I like to say that we suffer loudly through our actions.
Mhm.
We may not say it through our mouths, but our actions are speaking loud and clear.
Mhm.
So and that's so important of what you just stated, because as parents, and not just as community, because I'm going
Mhm.
to say that, because you may not be the child's parent, but if you are connected to that child in
Right.
any manner, and you
Right.
see any changes or you see any behavior
Mhm.
that may lead you to, you want to ask the
What's wrong?
questions,
What's
what's
going on?
wrong?
Yeah.
Yes. My generation, when even when adults found out that I was, you know they called it fast tail girls back in the
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
being a fast tail
Mhm.
girl, and this was as early as elementary. How
Mhm.
does a elementary girl
No, to be
learn
fast.
to be fast?
Right.
Yes, so make it make sense,
Right.
like the
Right.
young people would say.
Right. Right. Right.
But a lot of times, we just see the behavior, but we don't think to. And I think
Mhm.
when we look at our own experience, it gives, and you can tell me if you agree or not, but I know for me, it gives me more compassion. So when I see a young lady who may appear to be fast and,
Mhm.
may be dressing
Right.
unseemingly, I don't take the time to judge her
Right.
or, mock her. I
Right.
take the time to pray for her. And if I can intertwine my life into hers, do
Mhm.
so,
Right.
so that I can maybe help guide her
Mhm.
to a better place.
Absolutely. I feel like there's always a root cause to something. Like
Absolutely.
we don't just wake up one day and we want to be a certain type of
Mhm.
way. I think there's always a root. So then for me, communication is everything. So even for my daughter, like I talk to her. Like we have candid conversations because I want to know, hey, if you're
Mhm.
hurting, what's causing the hurt? And
Yes.
I don't want it to just be out loud in action, but I
Mhm.
want to get to the bottom of it so we can get you the help that you need. And I don't think that back then our parents understood the importance of communication. I think they
Mhm.
saw, okay, you're doing X, this, and so let me beat you. Or I probably can't even talk to you because my parent didn't even talk to me. So I think it's just
Mhm.
like you said, breaking the barriers, breaking the curses,
Yeah.
breaking those things because there's always a root to it. We
Yes.
just need to take the time to find out what is the problem. How did we get here? You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? What's causing this pain? Because there's something, like I said, we don't wake up and say, okay, today I'm going to act out. What is
Yes.
the acting out coming from? So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. You see the action, but what's
Right.
the root behind the
Right.
action?
Right. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, with your experience, are you or have you been helping other young women or women in general,
Um,
or?
I mean, when I feel led, like if I feel
Mhm.
like I need to tell my story to somebody, I will.
Absolutely.
And because I'm so straightforward and open, like
Mhm.
anybody can come and talk to me. Like if they feel comfortable, they'll
Yes.
come and talk to me. So I don't. There's no judgment because
Yes.
I didn't, been out here and done that.
Yeah.
So there is no judgment zone
Yeah.
with me. But I don't currently do anything like as far as like mentoring or anything like that when it comes to that specific thing. No.
Well, you're doing enough. Well, like you said, one of the things is that if we're led
Yeah.
and we're being obedient, we don't know what that moment can
Right.
do for the
Right.
life of the person
Right.
that we're speaking into at that
Mhm.
moment.
Mhm.
So that's significant in
Yeah.
itself.
Absolutely.
Life as a mom, what
Yeah.
does that look like?
Oh man.
Because you said you have a teenager
Yeah,
now.
she just turned 13 last Saturday, actually.
Belated birthday to
Thank you.
her.
Yeah, so life as a mom, it's a handful. Like right now, um she just stopped track at the end of the school year, and then she's starting cheer when the school year begins. But they'll be practicing during the summer and things like that. But it's being a parent is not necessarily easy, but I love it. I asked for her, I prayed for her.
Mm,
Um, I called her by name before I was even pregnant. So I asked for
mm.
her. So I love it. Not easy, but I wouldn't trade it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, being a teenager is
Yeah. Yeah.
now I know my life as a teenager, so
Yeah. Right. 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 My prayer is always that she's nothing like me in that area. Like
yes.
my prayer is that, um, God would use her greatly and that the purity it remains.
Mm,
That's my prayer. Like the purity remains. Because I didn't have an option. You know what I'm saying? I didn't
mhm.
have a choice in who I wanted to, you know what I'm saying? But my
Yes.
prayer for her is that her purity remains until God marries her to somebody that's worthy to have it. You
Yes.
understand?
Yes.
So that's my prayer for her. Yeah.
Now, I heard you state that, and I love the fact that you said that's your prayer for her because we can do a lot. We can communicate like you said that you're doing and
Mhm.
have those conversations.
Mhm.
However, don't neglect prayer
Yeah.
because it's a important,
Yeah.
the most important part of the process.
Absolutely.
Because what we don't see, God sees. And when we're
Absolutely.
covering our children,
Right.
that's a major part of our assignment as a
Mhm.
parent.
Absolutely.
It
Yes.
is.
Yes. It's
So
necessary.
it is
It's
necessary.
necessary.
Yeah, it's not an option, it's
It's
necessary.
necessary. Yeah. We don't know how
Yes.
to do this anyway. We can't do this alone. We need him to guide us. So prayer is necessary. Yeah.
You just said a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do this on our own.
Mm-mm.
A lot of, yeah, I mean, the first time you become a parent, you've never been a parent before.
Right. Right. You don't know what to do. You don't like there's no man and I think my pastor always says there's no manual to this thing. Like
It's
we
not.
don't have a book that tells us, hey, do this. You're doing great, mom. Do
Yeah.
this. There is no manual. Once you get that baby, like you gotta figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
it is God who
Yes,
gives us wisdom, on how to parent. So we need God.
we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Absolutely.
Who gives us the wisdom?
Yeah.
Yes, because when we start trying to do it on our own,
Right.
because
Right.
I've done that a lot of times. It
Me
didn't work
too.
out well for me. It didn't. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
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 But again, God in His grace,
Mm-hmm.
He will even use that.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
because we have free will.
Yeah.
That's just
Absolutely.
because a lot of times this is I always laugh because people always say, well, when I get to heaven, I'm going to talk to Eve because we got as a female,
Right.
we have all of these things because
Right.
of her. Like, well, let me say you, if it was Michelle and Adam in the garden, you would have been talking to Michelle because all of us would have messed up. We have
Right.
free will and our
Free will.
curiosity,
Yeah.
and that's so we have to understand and even talking about that, we have to give grace to one another.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, when you see someone who is, you have a choice every day to make the choice to say, okay, well, am I going to judge a situation or am I going to pray about a situation or
Right.
I'm going and be a light in the
Right.
situation.
Right.
So we have to make the decision that we're going to be a light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because truth be told, we're just as jacked up. We're just as messed
Without
up,
God, we
just as
are.
flawed.
Yes.
So I don't have any room to judge you, baby.
That right.
Like I'm just messed up. And so I think oftentimes we mess up because we think we are greater than what we really are. And we're
Mm,
not. We're not. All it
mm,
takes is one moment.
yeah.
All it takes is one moment. and we just as bad as they are. So who are we to judge? I remember writing a post and I was like, we often want to be receivers of grace, but we never want to extend it.
Mm.
You want God to extend grace to you, but then when it comes time for you to extend grace to your brother or your sister, you miss the mark. How does that work? How does that work?
Work.
How does that work?
And it even when you just made the statement, you said because we think we're greater than we are,
Yeah,
and that was a mouthful,
yeah,
and that was so much to unpack in that
yeah.
because oftentimes we can't see.
We can't
Sometimes
see us.
we can't see
Yeah.
us, and it makes us feel better to
Yeah.
judge someone else's situation
Yeah.
because sometimes we make it seem as if their situation is worse than because I might do this, but they do that.
Right.
So I'm better, so
Or they did this and they got caught, but I did the same thing and I
in
didn't.
secret. Yes.
My stuff just ain't out
It's
there.
just not
It
out.
don't mean I didn't do it. It just means you don't know I did it.
Right. And in that circumstance, wouldn't it make sense to have compassion on that
Right. It
person?
would. It would.
Yeah.
It
Seems like you
would.
should be in your prayer closet
Right.
saying, "Thank you,
Thank you,
Lord, for
Jesus.
not
Come on.
exposing me."
Right. Not exposing my mess.
But since you did expose somebody else, let me get in my prayer closet and get
Right.
it right.
Right.
So, but we as people,
Mhm.
yeah, we have to get to the point where, like you stated, we have to understand that we're not great in ourselves.
Right.
Greater is he that is in me
Come on.
than he that is in the world.
Come on.
But Michelle, she's a little,
I'm jacked up.
yeah, she's a little
It is him
special.
that's in me that's great.
Yes.
Yeah, like I'm a
Yes.
mess.
That
It's him.
is him.
Yeah, it's him. It's always him.
It's always him.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to stay rooted and grounded in him.
Yeah.
Staying, like I believe you said it earlier, staying before him in prayer,
Yeah.
fasting,
Yeah.
making sure we're in the word,
Yeah.
making sure we're just spending time with him in
Mhm.
and out with all the
Yeah.
distractions. So I know being a worship servant,
Mhm.
that's essential to your
Yeah.
life because you're ministering to people on a regular
Mhm.
basis. So what does that look like for you as your private time with God and just making sure that you're in his presence and making sure that you're staying focused
Mhm.
because when you have a list of who you are to
Mhm.
many others
Mhm.
and serving and sometimes you can get off focus. So
Mhm.
how do you make sure, okay, God, keep me aligned?
Yeah. Well, because it's never about me. And this gift doesn't belong to me. I'm
Mhm.
just the manager of it. It's
Yeah.
not mine. Not that he would take it. And I think
Mhm.
we often get that confused. Like if you don't use it, God will take it. He won't take it. What
Yes.
he gives is what it is. He's not gonna take it. But it's not about me.
Mhm.
And I can't do this in my own strength. That's why I say I am flawed. This person you see is flawed. What I do it with his strength, with his power. I can't do it without him. And so I would be a fool to try to do it without him because when we do, we fail every time. And my heart's desire is for God, for people to um hear God's voice through my voice.
Yeah.
Like when I sing, I don't want it to be about me. Like, God, what do you want to say? What do you want to hear? Because even when you pick music, I think sometimes we pick music based on what we like, but it can't be necessarily about what you like. What does God want to hear and what does he want to say
Yes.
to his people in this moment? You have to just be sensitive enough to be able to hear him and follow his lead. So yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Miss Crystal, this has been a beautiful conversation. And I tell you, even just the beginning of it, being a worship servant, being a minister in itself just means that we are a servant.
Right.
And when we remember that,
Yeah.
then I think that we'll be humbled
Right.
and understand that everything that God has purposed us to do, God purposed us to do, not us.
Right.
We in and of ourselves are
Right.
nothing without him.
Right.
He's the very air that we breathe. And
Yeah.
so when we remember that,
Yeah.
then we can fulfill his purpose and give him glory, not be glory thieves.
Mhm.
So thank you for sharing part of your
Thank you.
journey with me on
Thank you.
today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Beautiful. I pray that each and every one of you took something away from her, a part of her journey that blessed you and that you will use it to thrive in Him. Now, just remember that I am not, you are not. We are not inadequate. We are beautifully reconstructed. Until next week.
To transform